Hello everyone, my name is Shanmukha, a third year student of Kiet-Hub from Kiet-Hub. Today, I am going to explain about handling asynchronous data in modern applications and what are the loading states, error handling means. We are going to understand three important topics also, what asynchronous means and why it matters and how it shows the loading states to the users and how to handle the errors in a smart way. These are very practical concepts. If you think about apps like Instagram, Amazon, or ticket booking apps, all of them use these ideas to give smooth experience to their users. Now let's get start the video that you can understand more better. Now, coming to the introduction to Async in Man, Manstack is made up of four technologies. We all know they are MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. Together, they also allow us to build complete web application. Now, in almost every man app, we need to fetch some data. For example, when a user logins, we have to show their profile information, or in an online shopping website, we need to load the products list. The problem is here, fetching the data is not instant. It takes time. If the app is just wait silently, the user feels it is stuck. This is where async helps in this type of situation. Async allows the UI to stay active while the data is being fetched. A great example we all know is the Instagram. In that, post might take a second to load at sometimes. But during the time, you can also still scroll, like, or comment. That is possible only because of async is used. Now, we can see why asynchronous operations are needed. Without async and with async. Let's imagine what happens without async. If async is not used, the application will just stop and wait for the data to arrive. For the user, it feels like the app has frozen. Nobody likes that, right? With async, the app does not freeze. While the data is loading, the other parts of the app can still work. This gives the impression of fast, modern, and responsive applications. For example, think of a booking a ticket online without a sync. Without async, the page would freeze until the server sends back confirmation. With async, the app shows a message like booking in progress, loading, like that, and you can still interact with the page. That's it is much better experience, right? Now we will look into the loading states. Okay, so now when data takes time to arrive, we don't want the screen to look empty. That's why we use loading states. Loading states are temporary placeholders that tells the user something is happening. They can be simple as text message that says loading. We all see when we open any apps or an spinner animation or even skeleton screens when you see gray shapes before the real data loads. It mostly come in YouTube, I think. Why they are important? Because they keeps users informed, reduce frustration, and makes the app look professional. For example, on YouTube, when thumbnails take time to load, you first see the gray boxes. Those are skeleton loaders. They reassure you that content is coming. Example of loading state in React. In React, implementing a loading state is very simple. We create a variable in the state called loading. Before we start fetching data, we set loading to true. And while loading is true, we show a message or a spinner. And when we set once the data arrives, we set loading to false. Finally, we replace the loading message with the real content. This simple trick makes users feel confident that the app is working in the background. Without it, the users may assume the app is broken and closed it. Coming to the next, coming to the error handling. Now, apart from loading, we also need to think about the errors. Async operations can fail for many reasons. Maybe the poor internet connections, or maybe the server is down, the API URL is wrong, or the user gave a bad input like that. And if we don't handle the errors, the app could crash or just show a blank screen. That is terrible experience. But if we handle errors properly, we can keep the users informed and build trust. For example, WhatsApp shows waiting for network when your network is not working. That simple message makes the user to understand what's happening instead of feeling confused. Example of error handling in React. In React, the most common way to handle the errors is by using a try, catch, block around our async code. If everything goes well, the try block runs and shows the data. But if something goes wrong, the catch block will run instead. In the catch block, we can show a message like something went wrong, like that. It provides a retry option or log the error for the developers. This way, the app never crashes in front of the user. For example, in a shopping app, the shopping app, if the payment server fails, instead of the app freezing, the user sees payment failed, please try again later, like that messages. This is the proper error handling. Now, we will see the code explanation that we have discussed the loading states and error handling in theory. Let's quickly see a small React example to understand how it works in practice. A demo. Now we will see the code explanation. First, I had imported the use state and use effect from the React. Then I created the three state variables. One is the data, loading, and the error. Here I use the data for storing the API result, and loading is to show a loading message while fetching, and error to store it to store any error if the request fails. Coming to the fetch data function, this function handles the fetching data from the API. First, I set loading to the true because the user can see the loading message. Then I call API using fetch. This is the API key. And next, I had set 2-second delay so that loading message is clearly visible while we are running the output. And if it fails, we store the error message in the error. If the API works, it will store the resulting data. Finally, we set loading to the false because so that the error message will disappear. Coming to the next part of use effect function here in the written part, I decided what the users have to see. Here, um, if the loading is true, we show a colorful loading message. If there is an error, we show a red color error message. Otherwise, we show the fetched data in a blue box. Next, coming to the output, now I can run and I will show. For that command is npm start. After this command, npm start, now you had seen the loading error message and now you had seen the async data demo 1 data. After these 2 seconds, if the API call is successful, the data appears like this in the blue box. If the API URL is wrong, you will see this instead of crashing. Now I will show you. If I change the URL to okay, now again I will run and I will show you. You will see the error failed to fetch. Again I am replacing this and again I will show you the successful message. See, loading, please wait, and we will get the correct output. This demonstrates and loading success and error states in one small app. It is simple but very effective in real world applications. Now we will see the best practices for async, loading, and error. Now let's talk about some best practices. First, always combine loading and error states. User should never see a blank screen. And second, um write a async code using async or await. It's cleaner and easier to read. Third, keep UI logic and data fetching logic separate. Fourth, test your app in different network conditions. Very fast network like 4G or 5G, and slow networks like 2G, and even in no internet also you have to check. And finally, always provide fallback data or messages. For instance, Netflix shows a default poster image if the real one doesn't load. These small details make the apps look reliable and professional. Now, let's quickly summarize what we learned today. Async operations help our apps to stay smooth and interactive. They let data load in the background without freezing the screen. So the users can keep scrolling, clicking, or interactive while content loads. And loading states shows the users that something is happening. By using messages or spinners or skeleton screens, users feel confident and don't get confused or frustrated. Coming to the error handling, it makes our app reliable. Problems like server errors, slow internet, or wrong input can happen anytime. By showing friendly error message and retry options, we prevent crashes and users trust. When we use all three together, async loading and error handling, our app feels um, professional, smooth, and user friendly. Users stay happy and the app works well even if something goes wrong. As man developers, if we want to build a high quality app that people enjoy using, we must master these three concepts. Always plan for async loading, which shows the clear progress to the users and handles the errors gracefully. Small things like this make a big difference, and that is what separates a good app from a great app. Thank you for watching. Happy coding.